and gentlemen, as Sackville said, after genocide, there are people with a conscience. There are people who would come willingly to journalists to testify and to court to show they have evidence against their government, weakening their whole urgency on having to force journalists to reveal the sources of their information. We said from the very start that what we are defending are the right of people who want to be kept secret, to still be kept secret. That in fact this is further protection of the victims who are already severely injured by the genocide and the other crimes against humanity that are happening inside the society. Their burden of proof was to show that why specifically even the people who have requested to be kept secret do not have a right to be kept secret anymore. And so this debate will get into two major points of questions. First of all, whether or not journalists have a right to testify or an obligation to testify. And second of all, which will result in a better society in the case of actually being able to prosecute the government and for protecting the citizens. So on the first idea of whether or not journalists have a right or an obligation, as they say, to testify. Well, the analysis was sort of jumpy because they said this is a crime against humanity, meaning that we can do anything we want when we're trying to get information. Without really analyzing why the fact that this is a severe crime means that you have all the right that you can do to actually manipulate people into telling you what they're not told to do. We also analyzed two major points, two major actors in this debate. First, the actual journalists, and second, the source of information. We said that first of all, the journalists cannot reveal their sources because they have responsibility to maintain their commitment towards their source. This wasn't rebutted by the affirmative side of the house. We further stated that the victims are the ones, all the sources of information, are the ones who need to be more severely protected because they are the ones who are afraid, who even though they have a conscience like those other people who went to the government, who went to the ICC, they are afraid that they're going to be prosecuted by their government. And in so doing, they have a right to remain silent. That's why children in Uganda who were told to testify against the rape by the military leaders also chose to back down and they weren't prosecuted by anybody because they have a legal right to do so. So on the first idea, we felt that whether or not journalists have a right to testify or an obligation to testify, we said as a negative that we've proven to you that journalists do not actually have that obligation to testify because they have to be committed towards their sources. Second of all, in which will result in a better society, having enough information to actually prosecute the criminal leaders. They said that the problem was about the credibility of information, but even the way they analyze the information that we're going to get from journalists, we're not going to accept this information straight away, but we're going to use this information, and then we're going to have the ICC recheck whether or not this is a credible enough information, meaning that basically the process that's going to happen to them is the exact same process that's going to happen, and when journalists reveal their sources of information, because we say that journalists have an interest for their information to be at least some parts credible, that they're going to tell the location of what's happening, they're going to tell which body of the government, which really managed to make this crime against humanity work. That in that sense, the ICC has enough lead for them to go to that places and recheck the credibility like they're going to do anyway. So we don't see what their major problem is when we talk about how they want the credibility of information to be there. Second of all, we talked about how there's going to be less information being delivered to journalists if we make them forced to reveal their sources. Because people are going to be scared of giving information when they don't know whether or not they're going to be caught or not by the government. Because sometimes there's a case of humanitarian crime where the government is not caught yet, and the government is still there in society, meaning they still have a chance to oppress the citizens even more when they know their whereabouts exactly as a person. We also said there are cases of humanitarian crimes that have not yet brought to the surface. In Africa, where there are some cases that we as an international society don't know, and this is only going to further closet these countries into tapping us from the information that we need to prosecute. So in the end, we say that also that if we want to have enough information to prosecute, we need many leads. We need many ideas on where to start checking our credibility. With their proposal, we're going to limit ourselves to that access, and we say that's not going to create a better system for us. So for that reason, we beg to propose.